All right, everyone, welcome back. Today we're diving deep into something you might not expect on a show like this.
Mindfulness, yeah, not exactly the first thing.
That comes to mind, right?
Mhm.
When you think of Christian living, I get it. But stick with us. This is going to be good.
Really good. Because we're not just talking about mindfulness in general, though. We're going to see how it can actually enhance your faith.
Exactly. And to help us unpack all this, we're using an article from Very Well Mind. It's called How to Become More Mindful in Your Everyday Life.
No, I know, it sounds a little secular.
A little bit,
Mhm.
but that's what makes this so fascinating.
Because we're going to take these secular
And
concepts
see how they can be applied.
to a life of faith.
Okay, so where do we even start?
Well, the article begins with something we can all relate to. Everyday activities.
Oh, the mundane stuff.
Exactly. Laundry, dishes, even just listening to music, things we often do on autopilot.
Just going through the motions, not really paying attention.
Right. But what if we could change that? What if we could bring a sense of presence to those everyday tasks?
Okay, I'm intrigued. How do we do that?
Well, think about it. When you're folding laundry, for instance.
Folding laundry.
Yeah. Instead of just mindlessly folding, what if you actually focused on the feeling of the warm clothes, the fresh scent of the detergent?
You're making laundry sound almost spiritual.
It can be. It's about appreciating the simple things, the blessings that we often take for granted.
And that's where the faith connection comes in, right?
Exactly. It's about recognizing God's provision in even the smallest details of our lives.
I like that. It reminds me of the Benedictine concept of ora et labora.
Pray and work.
Yes. It's that idea that even our ordinary tasks can become a form of worship when done with intention and awareness.
Absolutely. And mindfulness helps us do just that. It helps us be fully present in the moment so we can truly appreciate the gift of life.
So it's not just about being mindful. It's about being mindful for a purpose.
Exactly. It's about using mindfulness as a tool to deepen our faith and draw closer to God.
Okay, I'm on board. So, we've covered laundry. What's next on our mindfulness makeover list?
How about something we all do every day? Eating.
Eating. Oh boy, this is where I need help.
Haha. Well, the article emphasizes the importance of mindful eating.
Mindful eating. Is that like chewing your food a certain number of times or something?
It can be part of it, but it's more about being present with the experience of eating, putting away distractions, slowing down, really savoring each bite.
So no more scrolling through my phone while I eat.
It's a challenge, I know. But what if, instead of just mindlessly consuming food, we saw each meal as an opportunity to connect with God?
Like a mini sacrament.
Exactly. A time to pause, give thanks for the nourishment he provides, and truly appreciate the gift of food.
There's that biblical principle of gratitude again.
It's woven throughout Scripture.
Like in Deuteronomy, right?
Yeah.
When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God for the good land he has given you.
That's it. It's not just about saying a quick grace before meals. It's about cultivating a deep sense of gratitude for every bite.
So we can apply mindfulness to laundry and eating. What about our interactions with others?
No, that's where things get really interesting.
Because let's be honest, relationships can be messy.
They can be. But mindfulness can help us navigate those complexities with more grace and intention.
Okay, tell me more.
The article talks about the importance of truly listening to others, resisting the urge to formulate a response while they're still talking.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that.
We all are, but mindfulness helps us quiet that inner voice so we can truly hear what the other person is saying.
And wouldn't you know it, there's a verse for that too.
There's a verse for everything. What are you thinking of?
Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger.
James 1.19. It's a classic.
A classic for a reason. Because it's so hard to do.
It is. But mindfulness gives us the tools to actually embody that verse, to be more present, more patient, and more loving in our interactions with others.
It's like mindfulness gives us a little space between the stimulus and our response.
That's a great way to put it. And in that space, we have the opportunity to choose how we want to respond.
Instead of just reacting out of habit or emotion.
Exactly. Mindfulness empowers us to respond in a way that reflects God's love, even in challenging situations.
This is so good. We're seeing how mindfulness can transform our everyday tasks, our eating habits, and even our relationships.
And we're just getting started. There's so much more to explore.
Well, before we go any further, I think we need to take a quick break.
Sounds good. We'll be back in a moment to delve even deeper into the power of mindfulness for the modern Christian.
Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to our deep dive on mindfulness. In part 1, we started to uncover how mindfulness can actually enhance our faith.
We talked about laundry, we talked about eating.
And we even touched on relationships.
It's a lot to take in. So how about some practical tips? How do we actually put this mindfulness thing into practice in our daily lives?
Okay, so remember our laundry example from earlier.
Yeah, you were talking about really experiencing the feeling of warm clothes and the smell of detergent.
Exactly. This week, try picking one chore, like washing the dishes.
Okay, so instead of just mindlessly scrubbing pots and pans,
Right. Instead of that, really be present with it.
like what? Feel the water on my hands, smell the dish soap.
Exactly. Engage all your senses. Notice the temperature of the water, the way the light reflects off the
That
bubbles.
sounds a little silly, but I kind of get it.
It's about shifting your focus from the chore itself to the experience of the moment.
Okay, I'm willing to try it, but how does that tie back to my faith?
Well, think about it. God is in the details, right?
He created everything.
Exactly. When we're fully present in these mundane tasks, we can actually experience a sense of gratitude for God's provision.
And the ability to serve others, even in small ways.
Absolutely. It's like a mini prayer woven into the fabric of daily life.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what about meal times?
That was another big one from part one.
I'm still convicted about that whole phone at the table thing.
We all have our mindfulness struggles. The article suggests putting away distractions, slowing down, and savoring each bite.
It's so hard, though. I'm always in a rush.
But what if we treated each meal like a mini sacrament?
Like we're at the Last Supper.
Exactly. Think about the intentionality, the sharing, the symbolism in every act. We can apply that same mindful approach to our everyday meals.
Okay, I'm picturing this. No screens, dimmed lights, maybe some candles.
That's a great start. But it's more than just the ambiance.
What else?
Engage your senses. Really look at the colors and textures of your food. Smell the aroma, take small bites, chew slowly, and notice the explosion of flavors.
Hold on, let me try that with this granola bar. Whoa! I never realized there were so many different nuts and seeds in here.
See? It's about paying attention.
But how does all this sensory stuff connect with faith?
Well, remember what we said about meals being mini sacraments.
Yeah.
When we slow down and truly appreciate the food we're given, it becomes an act of thanksgiving for God's provision.
It's like we're actually taking the time to acknowledge where our food comes from.
And who gave it to us. Plus, focusing on those physical sensations helps quiet the mental chatter.
The mental chatter.
All those worries and to-do lists that keep us from connecting with God.
Oh yeah, I know all about that mental chatter.
Mindful eating helps us silence that noise so we can truly be present with God and with the gift of nourishment He's given us.
So mindful eating isn't just about healthy habits. It's about cultivating a deeper awareness of God's blessings.
Exactly. It's about seeing the sacred in the ordinary.
I'm loving this.
Huh.
Okay, I'm ready for the real challenge, mindful communication.
Yes, that's where things get really tricky.
Because relationships are hard.
They are, and communication is often the biggest hurdle.
So how do we handle those tough conversations without letting our emotions get the best of us?
That's where those breathing techniques from the article come in handy.
The ones we usually associate with yoga or meditation.
Exactly. You know, taking a few deep breaths when you feel those angry or defensive thoughts rising up.
I don't know, it seems a little awkward to stop mid-argument and start doing deep breathing exercises.
Think of it less like a yoga class and more like a pause button for
Right.
your reaction.
A pause button.
Yeah. When you feel yourself getting heated, take a few deep breaths. It helps calm your nervous system.
So I can respond thoughtfully instead of just reacting impulsively.
That's the goal. It's about creating space between the stimulus and your response.
It's like taking a spiritual timeout before I say something I'll regret.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about suppressing your emotions. It's about processing them in a healthy way.
So I can acknowledge that I'm feeling angry or frustrated.
But choose to respond in a way that honors God and the other person.
It's a lot easier said than done, though.
Yeah.
What if I'm dealing with someone who just pushes all my buttons?
That's when it gets really challenging. But remember James 1.19.
Be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger.
That's the one. Mindfulness helps us actually embody that verse.
But how do I listen when all I want to do is interrupt and defend myself?
Try this. As you're breathing and calming yourself, focus on truly hearing what the other person is saying.
But what if they're wrong?
Put yourself in their shoes, even if you disagree with their perspective.
It's like choosing to see them as Christ sees them, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to agree with them to understand them.
That's a good point. But isn't this whole mindful communication thing kind of exhausting?
It takes effort, for sure. We're battling ingrained habits and emotional patterns.
So it's not a quick fix.
No, it's a lifelong practice,
Yeah.
but the more we do it, the easier it gets.
And the rewards are worth it.
Absolutely. Think about it. Less drama in your life, stronger relationships, more peace.
And ultimately, it's about reflecting God's love in our interactions with others.
That's the heart of it. It's about letting our mindfulness practice flow out into every area of our lives.
I'm starting to see how all this fits together.
It's not just about being Zen, it's about being more Christ-like.
And that's a challenge we can all embrace.
Absolutely. So let's keep exploring this together.
And we're back. We've been having such an insightful conversation about mindfulness and faith.
It's amazing how these two seemingly different worlds actually complement each other so well.
Right. From mindful laundry to eating like we're at the Last Supper, we've covered a lot of ground.
And I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm already starting to see things differently.
Me too. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That's a tough one. But I think it all boils down to this. Mindfulness is about bringing our attention back to the present moment.
Just like that quote from the article.
Exactly. When your mind wanders, congratulate yourself for noticing and gently bring your attention back to the current moment.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because it's not about beating ourselves up for getting distracted
No, it's about grace.
and recognizing that our minds are naturally going to wander.
Especially in today's world, there are so many things vying for our attention.
Social media, work deadlines, you name it.
It's a constant battle. But mindfulness helps us step back from all that noise and reconnect with what truly matters.
Which is?
Our relationship with God.
Ah, there it is. So mindfulness isn't just about being more relaxed or focused.
It's about being more present with God.
In every moment.
Exactly. It's like hitting the reset button on our spiritual focus.
So instead of stressing out about all the things we can't control, we can choose to focus on God's presence.
Right here, right now.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
But how can our listeners actually put this into practice?
I'd say start small. Choose one area of your life where you want to be more mindful.
Like what?
Maybe it's your morning routine. Instead of reaching for your phone first thing when you wake up.
Try spending a few moments in quiet reflection.
Exactly. Just sit still, breathe deeply, and focus on God's presence.
Or maybe it's during your prayer time.
Instead of rushing through a list of requests.
Really savor those moments of communion with God.
And don't be afraid to experiment. See what works for you.
And maybe even journal about your experience.
Journaling is a great way to process your thoughts and notice any patterns.
I love that. So, dear listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive into mindfulness for the modern Christian,
Remember that it's not about being perfect.
it's about progress.
It's about taking small steps each day to cultivate a deeper awareness of God's presence in your life.
And even those tiny moments of mindfulness.
Like taking a deep breath before responding to a stressful email.
Or noticing the beauty of a sunset.
Those little things can make a big difference.
It's about choosing to see the world through the lens of faith.
And embracing the present moment with gratitude and intention.
This has been such an enriching conversation.
It really has.
And I hope our listeners feel equipped to embark on their own mindfulness journeys.
To deepen their faith and live more meaningful lives.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.